I'm able to move them around, but it seems like they move back. Like if you do it by mistake, like if you have a touchscreen laptop, it'll move
Oh,
around by mistake, let's say. And I didn't really see an option to lock it in.
so it's usually just where you drop it that will
Oh,
lock you.
okay,
So I
okay,
have never done it on a touch screen. I've only done it with a mouse, but basically you click and hold and drag to where you want it to go, and then you like let go of the click and it'll drop.
okay, okay. I will. I'll play around with it today.
Perfect. And let us know if you have any problems because we can definitely get that helped for you guys.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So going back to the screen, and I looks like, is it still sharing my screen, you guys, or no?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see
Yeah.
me? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go back. It also talks about how we're #1 in Chicagoland, which I think is really important as well. Because again, you guys are all Chicagoland brokers, and it's good to know for your clients to know that they are working with the #1 brokerage in Chicagoland. Scroll forward a little bit. This is, you'll see how it says exclusive marketing gold at the top of mine here. This is a gold package. So gold packages include floor plans. They also include larger print ads and longer commercial times. So it's important to know at the start which one of the listing concierge packages you're presenting to your client so that you can give them the right information. The packages are silver, gold, and platinum. The gold is at $449. But as I go through each one of these, I'll let you know kind of the details to highlight. But what's great about this first page, the exclusive property marketing, this gives a higher level view of everything in one page that they're going to get from you. So it's really powerful to highlight to your client. And I'm actually going to make this a little smaller so it can all appear on the screen a little bit better. But it's really impactful for your client to just see in that one page, this is how much you're going to get from me. And for you guys to know that this is the company value. You're still also going to be able to articulate your own individual value. Why should someone use Christopher or Elizabeth or Helen as opposed to every other broker, right? You're still going to be able to highlight your individual value. Perhaps it's talking to the seller about that you know they need to buy, and you're going to partner with Robin Barron or Doug Smith as a loan officer, and you'd love to connect them. They're both on this call, so I wanted to call some attention to our wonderful GRA reps. It's also maybe articulating the attorney relationship you have with Burnett Title and how when your clients sell with you and close at Burnett Title, they're actually paying less at the title company you're recommending than if they were to go to a title company outside of our Coldwell Banker Burnett Title. So there's a lot of things you guys can add and customize, but it's important to be able to leverage what we already have. So on this first page, for you guys all to know, it's everything from photography and brochures, which pretty much every agent has, right? But the things that make us so different and so special are the fact that we have our own TV show, the fact that we own our own magazine called The View, right? So these are important things to highlight with your client. Photos, brochures, those are super important as well, but it's important to know what makes you stand out compared to every other competitor at a different company that might be vying for the listing. So this first page is that big overview. And actually, what's great about this page is we've actually turned this into an e-blast and a postcard. So if you're farming and you're trying to pick up sellers, this first page becomes the front of a postcard to say, hey, if you're a seller who's looking to know what your home is worth, call me because look at how much I'm going to do to market your home. Look at how much I'm going to invest to ensure that I sell your home in the least amount of time for the most amount of money. All right, and now I'm going to dive into each one of these and give you guys some ideas on how to talk. So first thing is the professional photography. You'll see right at the top it's saying 26 professional photos. That's with the gold package. Silver is 16, platinum is 36. Platinum is really more for your luxury properties, but I would say gold and silver, pretty much any property that you're going to have in Chicago could fit well into one of these categories. You're going to want to highlight to your clients the importance of having professional magazine quality photos. Yes, iPhones are great and they take really good photos, and some realtors do use iPhone photos. But when you partner with me, I'm going to ensure that we have a professional photographer on site showcasing your property in the best possible way. They're also going to include twilight photos, help with blue sky, green grass if needed, and we're going to do a detailed floor plan because Mr. and Mrs. Seller, your floor plan is spectacular. Buyers are really going to love seeing it, but so many people are focused on dimensions, right? Is my couch going to fit? Is my king size bed going to fit in the main bedroom? And I want to make sure from the jump that they understand what the sizes of your rooms are and how they could see themselves living in there. So those are good to access. And again, these work for print and online. And I think that's something to talk with them when you get to the brochure section, right? Is we're not just taking pictures to appeal to online. We're also making sure they're going to look good, be pixelated well, be color corrected for when we do print marketing. The second slide is the property brochures. So again, the wording here, beautiful, professionally printed property brochures to showcase your home. I'm reading this to you guys just to highlight it, but try not to get too stuck in reading a slide to your client. They can read. What your job is to highlight to them the importance of those. So the professional brochures, again, that's why we do the professional photos so that your property can be advertised and marketed in the best possible light. These brochures are going to be printed professionally as well. I'm not going to run them off the computer at the office on, 8.5 by 11 paper. These are professionally printed and delivered to me at my office. This is the collateral that every buyer that walks through your property is going to be able to physically walk away with. And it's really going to set your property apart because they're really going to walk away remembering your unit as opposed to units that don't have this on site for them. Christopher, what's your question?
Hi, thank you. I have a question. So the individual cost for each of these packages, one, is it, I imagine, the seller who's paying the cost, and when would they pay that?
So this is actually a cost to you as the agent.
Okay.
However, you can negotiate in that your seller pays for it as well. That's going to have to be a you decision. The reason why we put these packages together, though, is to help you guys get those higher commission rates, to get those 6% and those 7%, which means you're walking away with either 3.5 or 4.5%. Right, which is a lot more than a 5% listing average, in which case you would pay for these upfront. The silver package is $249, and it includes all the same materials I'm going through, just at a lower number. And I'll try to highlight what those lower numbers are for you as we come across. This gold package is $449, and that's what we're going through. The platinum is $1449, but that again is very luxury. That includes drone footage. That includes a product called Matterport, which creates almost like a Sims game of your property. So you can literally walk through it virtually in a way. So, and it includes more photos, more brochures, a larger ad in the magazine, etc. But we actually do have, I have an agent in West Loop who's really good at getting her clients to either pay for it or pay for half. So it's kind of one of those game time decisions. But it's always important to remember that part of listing a property is spending money up front to ensure that you're properly representing that client and that seller and portraying their property in the best possible way, knowing that you're going to get reimbursed and then some at the closing.
Okay.
All right, going down to the next one. The single property website is great. So this is a website designed specifically for your listing. 123 Main Street is going to get its own website. The reason why this is so important, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is because every social media ad I do, every link in my signature line for your property is going to send buyers directly to your listing, not to a site filled with all these other listings for them to look at, but your listing exactly. What's also great about this is that if a consumer were to inquire about that property, that goes directly to me as your listing agent, which means I'm able to answer immediately and help secure a private showing for that buyer. It just gives your property more exposure and ensures that it always comes back to me as your agent, so that I can help get those buyers through the door. The targeted online advertising is great. So this is geographic targeted technology that markets your property directly to local buyers online and social media. This is one of my favorite parts of Listing Concierge, I'll be honest, because no other company has a lot of these things, but this is one thing that sets us apart. And the best way I like to describe this to sellers is targeted online technology is that creepy Facebook and Google technology that you're on Zappos looking at a pair of shoes, and all of a sudden you see that same pair of shoes show up on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google searches. That's targeted technology. What I'm going to be able to do for your listing is make sure that when a consumer sees your listing, it actually follows them around on their other web searches for an extended period of days. That's huge, right? And so I think this is one of the best parts of Listing Concierge personally, and that's a great way to explain to your clients, because everybody has that problem, right? We all see those like funny memes of like, had to buy a new toilet seat from Amazon and all of a sudden I keep getting marketed to buy 27 toilet seats now. Like, that's what this targeted technology means. Also, the nice thing for you guys, I'm going to go back up to this targeted online real quick. Nice thing for you guys as agents is the 3 reasons why we created Listing Concierge. Two we've already mentioned, right? Setting yourselves apart from every other broker out there, because you guys are going to be the only ones with a Listing Concierge package, getting that higher commission rate, demanding those 7s, those 6%, and remembering that there's a lot of numbers in between 6 and 7 as well. But the third is really to help you get more listings. Every piece of this puts you as the agent at the center to, get those buyer leads to hopefully purchase that property, but also to highlight to other homeowners what you, Christopher, what you, Elizabeth, or you, Helen, or Anastasia are doing to sell their property. So this targeted online technology is great, because any leads generated from this ad go to you directly in real time, which is awesome. And they'll go into your InTouch CRM as well, so you can set up drip campaigns. We are going to send out a just listed e-flyer to personal and professional contacts. So this actually goes out to everyone who's in your guys' InTouch, your CRM, your client retention management system. But you're also able to share it with your clients, who can then also email it out to all of their contacts as well. This is nice. It's big. Everything is 100% virtual and online, right? Those brochures are awesome. No one's going to see that brochure unless they come physically see the property. So this is just another way to get in front of people virtually to encourage them to see that property in person. The TV and online promotion. All right, so you guys, we are the only company that has our own TV show that airs on the My 50 in Chicago. In Chicago, it airs Sundays at 11. And it's called At Home in Chicagoland. It also gets put onto YouTube, which is awesome. So your specific listing is going to get airtime on this channel, and there's a YouTube link that's created for your specific listing, which allows you to then use Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, to really run more ads and also highlight your listing. This is a huge value add for you guys as agents. Your name, your face, your contact information is going to be on TV literally on Sundays when you run a listing through Listing Concierge, but it's also good for your sellers. It gets them far more exposure. The YouTube is great for it, because if you're like me, I don't actually have TV. I'm like a Netflix, Hulu person. The YouTube is great because you're still going to have access and be able to use that. Has anybody seen our TV show?
Yeah, actually, I have. I stumbled upon it a couple times. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. We actually have hosts, like there are hostess and hosts of it that like talk, like it's designed to be like HGTV. But consider that all your guys' little homework for this weekend is if you have access to a TV, tune in Sunday at 11 to the CW or the My 50 and take a look and watch it. I mean, it's so important to remember that if you are pitching something to your clients, it's important that you know the information and that you've seen it, that you can speak to it. So it'd be really good for you guys as we go through practicing with each other as well, because Elizabeth and Christopher, you guys are newer. Monique, you're newer to this call, but you guys are all going to be taking turns doing a listing presentation in front of all of us. And so it's important for you guys to watch it and know, because you're going to have your own way of speaking to it. Yeah, this Sunday at 11, and it's an hour-long program. Your listing is featured one time in it. And for example, it's airing Sunday, right? So if I were to order a Listing Concierge package today for my listing, it's not going to air this Sunday, right? Photos still have to happen, copy still needs to be written. So I think the cutoff is Wednesday afternoon. If everything's submitted, then it'll be on, but I can double check on that cutoff for you. But I encourage you guys all to watch it. And if you don't have TV, if you're like me, YouTube, so you can actually watch the full, one full episode, just so you can get a feel for what the channel is like. The silver envelope home announcements. So when you use a gold package, you're going to get 50 tri-fold property announcements sent out to the neighborhood in a radius, or you can actually have and upload your own list of addresses for the listing concierge to mail that out. The reason why we love the gold package as opposed to the silver for this is silver, it's a postcard, a jumbo postcard. So it's nice. It's like this big, it comes in. With the upgrade of the gold package, it's actually going to be a tri-fold. So it's not just a postcard front and back. It unfolds out just like a pamphlet or a flyer. On the back, it details that first page we showed, right? Where it did that big shot of all of like the 12 things you're offering. That's included in this postcard, which is very powerful. The thing that we love is it actually gets sent in a silver envelope that's addressed as if someone wrote it. Hand wrote it, and people are, I don't even know what the stat is, but I would say I'm probably 80% more likely to open an envelope that looks like an invitation to me and actually take a time to look at what that postcard is than if I were getting a postcard in the mail, right? Postcards are still great. I'm a huge believer in farming with postcards. I think they're important, but this is going to go out as a just listed and a just sold for your neighborhood. And it's good. You know, the thing that I like to mention with sellers is our neighbors like to pick our neighbors. You don't know who your neighbors know that are looking to potentially move into the area. So it's really important for them to see how great your listing is as well. The mobile brochures, this is great. You guys are all newer, so you don't remember the good old days, but Nakia and I see Lewis on this, we remember the good old days where every for sale sign had a physical box on it that you would have to go into rain, snow, sun, shine, whatever, and refill with paper flyers. Oh my gosh, it was so painful. And if it was raining outside, they all got ruined. And because rain got in the flyer box, it was a mess. Now we have a rider, which is at the top here that you can see, that goes on all of your for sale signs that are used with listing concierge. That is a mobile brochure. So instead of having to print off 20 flyers every Friday and bring them around and fill your boxes, all a consumer has to do is text home now to 35620. It'll be a different number every time. And they're going to get immediately texted to them a mobile brochure, looks like this, of the listing. All the listing details, the listing photos, most importantly, your contact information. At the same exact time, you will be texted. It'll say, Christopher, Susie Q is outside of your listing and she requested a mobile brochure. Here's her contact information. So you get a lead in real time. It's great to talk to your clients about this because A, you're not going to have them or you refill the flyer box, and B, anybody that's seeing their property that wants to take a look at the mobile brochure, you're going to get that contact information immediately and can reach out. If you were just using paper flyers, that's you waiting for someone to call you, right? Now you're going to get that lead right away and can facilitate a showing. Yes, Christopher, the mobile brochure comes with each package. Doesn't matter what, as long as you have a for sale sign. So that's the one big thing. A lot of high-rise condos, there's no way to have a for sale sign, so you're not going to have that mobile brochure rider. So again, think about it as wherever it is. And then Nakia, Lewis, and I, as managers on this call, this is geographic, right? So if I'm standing in front of Elizabeth's listing and I type this in, I'm going to get all that information. If I just take a picture of it and I go 5 miles away and I do it, it's going to still pull up Elizabeth's information. It might not go to Elizabeth first, but your manager actually gets that text and says, hey, a lead was interested in 123 Main Street. And I'm going to be able to look up or Nakia or Lewis and see, oh, whose listing is that? And then send it to you guys so that you can get in contact with them. So even though it's geographic, we have that fail safe in case they decide, 20 blocks later that they want to get the mobile brochure. All right. The virtual tours. These are links. They're kind of like it's a photo slideshow, video style, right? So they don't have to click the slide to the next one. It'll just automatically go to the next one to highlight their photos. These are links that you can include in the MLS listing, that you can also use in your email signature line, that you can share out on social media. It's really just great for prospective buyers to just see a slideshow of all of the photos in a professional way. You can add music to these as well, just to make them a little bit more fun. This is included in all packages. The print advertising, this is one of my other favorite parts. I would say targeted advertising is my top, and this magazine is my second. We own The View. We are the only company that owns our own magazine, which is phenomenal. The View goes out to over 200,000 residences in the Wall Street Journal and the Chicago Tribune. That's a big number, so I highly recommend you guys work that into all of your listing presentations. Get that number ingrained in your mind. It also is a virtual magazine, meaning that this is actually a magazine you can send to your database in InTouch every month, irregardless if you actually have a listing in there to highlight. This is a Coldwell Banker magazine, so it's only Coldwell Banker listings. You're not getting things from App Properties or Berkshire Hathaway or Compass. It's very specific to that, which is so important. In the gold package, and remember, I'm showing you guys a gold, you get 1/6 of a page ad, which is great. Your headshot will be included. It'll look just like the snapshot is on here, right? Your headshot, your contact information, and then a blurb about the property itself. You actually get to pick what you want that photo to be. Like, it could either be the front of the property, or you could say, I have a phenomenal living room shot. That's what I want to highlight. Silver packages get 1/12 of a page, which is very similar, just no headshot. And platinum gets a full page ad in The View. Just good for you guys to be able to speak to that. The other thing is, Nakia Lewis and I, we get mailed to us, to each of our offices, a huge box of View magazines every month for you guys to take out. So a lot of you on here might not have listings, but you're all hoping to go out and tour buyers or host open houses for other agents. Grab a handful of the View magazines from our office and give those out to consumers. Have those at an open house you're hosting, because an open house is going to have buyers and also potentially sellers, right? Some people have to sell a property to buy a property. So you're going to showcase how you can help a buyer, but also how you can help a seller. And we have goo gobs of these, you guys, in the offices. And it's like a real magazine. So there's a letter from their president. So AUB actually writes a front letter for that. There's a few articles in there as well. So it's not just properties. It does have an added value on top. And it's always really fun when the digital one comes out to send your clients a link of the digital and say, hey guys, check out page 23. That's where you guys are. It's also good to take it out with them, take them a physical copy and like earmark where it is. All right. Nakia put a really good point in the chat. So I encourage you guys to check that out and look at it. The area realtor notification. So this is it's called the update, and it's going to go out to all of the agents, not just at Coldwell Banker, all of the agents who have done business in that MLS area in the last 12 months to highlight to them what is new on. And actually, I think it came out this morning, Nakia, I think I saw one that came out this morning. It comes out Friday mornings, which is great because we all know Friday afternoons is when you're starting to plan your showings for the weekend. And it's nice to know, oh, this just came out. I'm going to check that out. It's mobile friendly, which is why they have the picture with the phone here. The internet marketing advantage is great too. So we syndicate at Coldwell Banker to over 700 websites. Everything from the MLS is going to syndicate out to, Zillow, the Redfins, like the normal subjects, except your rental listings to Zillow now. That's a different story. But we also pay to be on other websites. And I think it's important for your consumers to know that. We make sure we get placement on the New York Times, on Homes.com, on WSJ. That's so important for them to know that we're spending money on that. And then I think this is the last one, last but not least, is the seller update. What's really great is to make sure that your seller knows during a listing presentation how you plan on communicating with them, right? A lot of times we hear when you're the second or third realtor to have a listing, almost always the seller is going to say, well, I stopped working with that other agent because their communication wasn't good. I never heard from them. This helps eliminate this. So your client is actually going to get an email called Property Market Update that has hyperlinks to all of these things we just talked about. It's going to let them know every single thing that you guys did for them and keep them in the loop. Now you should still plan with your client, right? This is where your value add can come in, is making sure that they know how you're going to communicate with them through the life of their listing. Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to sell you this. I'm going to send you this update so you can get the hyperlinks to your photo. You can check out your ad in the view. You can see everything I did on a marketing perspective. But also the way I like to operate is I like to make sure I give my clients every Thursday a roundup of everything that happened that week with their listing and going forward what I have planned for the next week, just so that you're in the loop with updates on the open houses, if I was running Facebook or Instagram ads, how those performed. That's a really important thing. And as an agent, as an individual, figuring out how you're going to communicate with your seller is so important. One of the things I learned a couple years in, and I wish I had learned it sooner, is to always ask someone how they prefer to be communicated with. That's so powerful. I think a lot of people just assume, well, I'm comfortable with calling, so that's what I'm going to do. But your seller might absolutely hate calling. They might not ever really want to talk to you on the phone. They don't like it. They're uncomfortable with it. So asking your client, what is the best way to connect with you guys? Is it email? Is it phone? Would you prefer to have a virtual 20-minute update, every week? Is it text? What's the best way? Because I want to make sure that I am in your comfort zone with that. And then stick to that. I remember I had a seller who was a tech guy. He was an app builder, hated the phone, like literally would never talk to me on the phone, even in the middle of negotiation. And he was like, Rachel, I'm so excited that you're doing this for me, but please text. I just am not a good phone person. Great. Perfect. Everything was a text. And he was responsive like that. But it's important. I realized I didn't ask him up front. And I was putting him in an uncomfortable position by talking on the phone, because I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, let's talk out the strategy, when really that was rubbing him the wrong way. So it's always good to ask. All right, so that was the last of the collateral. And like Nakia mentioned in here, in Sales Pro, each one of these products is talked about in classes in there. And there are several upcoming classes, and her recommendation, which I agree with, 2 to 3 classes per week. They're very short. Some of them you'll notice are only 30 minutes, some are an hour. The other great thing, and actually, Nakia, I don't know if you have it up, but if you wouldn't mind chopping the YouTube channel in the chat too, because everything, correct, no cost to the training. This is free. All of your coaching, every time you call Nakia or I, it's free. And all the training is as well. But what's great about the YouTube channel is, if you guys are like, I'm up at 6 o'clock, Rachel, and I want to start learning at 7, but your classes don't start till 9, go to the YouTube channel and start learning those things at 7 o'clock. You want to learn at 10 o'clock at night because you're like Nakia and you're a night owl, you can learn that tool. And what I really recommend is have that YouTube playing on your phone and follow along with what the field marketing strategist is training on your laptop, because they're literally going to go in and say, this is where you go in desk, and then you open it, and then you go to this tile. And sometimes watching it isn't enough, but doing it with them can be really powerful and help remind you. Thank you, Nakia, for dropping in that YouTube link. I'll be honest, that's how I learned most of the tools, right? Because during the day, Nakia, Lewis, and I were running around, we're taking your guys' calls. Sometimes it's hard to sit in a class formally. Those YouTube channels are awesome. And the people in those trainings are the same ones that are training live. So you're going to get used to their faces, their names, and how to reach out. All right, the second half of this is really the CMA, which Curtis and I are going to do a deeper dive with you guys another time. But the first part, and that's where the 13 minutes comes in. So we created this presentation to be 13 to 15 minutes to really highlight the importance of showcasing the value you're going to offer to your client without taking all their time. When you go into a listing presentation, most sellers have two questions. What are you going to sell this for? And how much are you going to charge me to sell it? So you don't usually want to get to those two questions until you show value, right? Because if you just jumped in and told someone how much you charge without showing them your value, it might be a little off-putting to them. So you do want to show them the value. But if you spend 45 minutes talking about your value, it's going to be way too, I'm not moving the screen. That's why. Christopher thinks so. If you spend too much time talking about the value, their eyes are gonna glass over, right? They're not gonna pay as much attention to you guys. They're got those two questions. So we specifically designed this so that you could go through succinctly and explain and show that value to your client. And then the second half is I'm gonna show you the value. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is your subject property. These are the comparable listings. This is why I think we should list your property at XYZ price. And then this is how much I charge. And Nakia made a really good point. You know, MRED, MLS classes are run all the time through MRED. You guys all have access to those free trainings and webinars. And Nakia put in the training link as well. So that's always good. Keep that like in your hyperlink so you can easily get to those. We also are bringing to you guys twice a month. You'll have Coldwell Banker MRED classes, just meaning that we specifically worked with the trainers at MRED to bring trainings to just you as Coldwell Banker agents. Those are all still trainings they do normal time, but we're just making it exclusive during that time frame. We've got a Q&A session coming up. We've got Remind. HomeSnap, I think, is our next one on the 14th coming up. So that's hugely impactful. But this is going to be the best tool. Moxie, which I'm in right now, connects to your MLS, which is awesome. So it's literally going to pull all those comps and drop them down and make it look just this beautiful. So if you look on this page, we had 5 comps built out for this property. All of these came from the MLS. The reason why we love having the MLS link to Moxie as opposed to just doing a CMA in the MLS is that this is a much prettier format. It's easier to use. And when you're virtually presenting, you can actually click in to the comparable, dive in. It'll show exactly on the map where this is the subject property, where the comp is, and you can go through the photos easily right over here. It's just such a nice tool to be able to go back and forth on it. All right, before I go into Dotloop to talk about some paperwork, do you guys have any questions about the listing concierge package?
Yeah, I do actually. Rachel, if I could.
Please.
So for the packages, as far as the descriptions on the property, like I know with professional photography, there's someone in-house, but as far as the description, is that something as a broker we're crafting as well, or is there someone else as far as on our team that once we get them to decide they want the package is putting together these details?
Sure. So with listing concierge, your concierge is going to help facilitate the whole package, but you as an agent are responsible for writing your copy or remarks.
Okay.
Mostly because you've seen the property.
Right.
They have not. You know, you're going to know what to highlight in there. Your first couple properties that you do, we really encourage you, please leverage Nakia, Curtis, Lewis, myself, and ask like, hey, I've never written a property description before. Can you guys help me with this? That's what we are definitely here to help you with. Okay. Right. What's nice is the concierges do have a copy editor. They are going to look for grammatical errors. They're going to look for some fair housing violations. So they help, but they're not going to write it for you. It's really important to have that. And actually, you know, I think Nakia and I would really encourage you guys to just run some searches in the MLS and just read those remarks. Read what other brokers write, how they write it. You'll learn really quickly what remarks are well done and what ones are not. My favorites is when it says in the first sentence is, hurry now, won't last. And then you see it's been on the market for like 250 days. So read through some of your Coldwell Banker agents, right? You can go in the MLS and specifically search for Coldwell Banker listings. Read through what your colleagues, how they're writing it. Read through how your competitors are writing it. And you'll get a really good feel on what's important to highlight. Always remember, we're culturally not readers anymore. So that's why the photography does have to be so well done. You know, that's why there's the virtual floor plan, the virtual tour. You know, that's why we have the mobile brochure, because a lot of people aren't going to read a full paragraph. You still need to write it and have it be really impactful, because the realtor is always going to read it, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many clients are like, oh my God, this property looks great, I want to see it. And I read the comments and I'm like, you do realize it doesn't allow dogs, and you have a dog, there's no washer and dryer in unit, and you said that was a deal breaker. You know, this is why we read, this is why you have me, right? So just always remember, but the first couple times you write them, please feel free to leverage us. That's what we used to do all the time. Nakia for like 15 years before she was managing. So we got you on that. Any other questions about this? And the reason why I kind of want to go through this is we need a volunteer for next week, Friday. So start thinking in your head if you want to volunteer to do a listing presentation in front of the group. This is a very safe space. I see Wanda on here. Wanda was our first agent that did it, and she was also brand new, and she kicked butt at it. So phenomenal, so spectacular. So I think Anastasia, you've done one as well. I saw Maggie, but I think she had to drop off. She did it. We're the safe space. We're the people to practice with, your colleagues, your peers. So I'll ask for somebody at the end to volunteer, or we will politely voluntold you to go through this.
Rachel, I actually haven't done it, and I'm looking at my schedule right now, and it looks like I don't have anything for Friday, so I'm happy to be the volunteer.
Perfect. Anastasia's got it. And it's great you've got it, because you've actually gone on listing presentations already and everything like that. So you'll be able to speak to this. Awesome. That's great. So you guys, like Elizabeth and Christopher and Monique, who are brand new this week to us, you'll get to see Anastasia do it next week and really hear what it's like to pitch out to that seller. Since today I was really talking to you more as, you know, a Coldwell Banker manager, how should you talk to this and leverage it? And next week, Anastasia is going to talk to us like we're the seller. So she's going to talk to you like a consumer. I'm going to pop over to Dotloop real quick, and I know it might take a quick second, but Christopher, I see you're unmuted. Are you able to see my Dotloop?
Yes. Well, hold on. I'm looking at my page and I see your CB desk. It seems like there's been a delay on my end, but I see.
I can see it, Rachel. So I think it's, Chris, you may want to refresh or close out and come back.
Okay. Thank you for that.
So I can see your Dotloop, Rachel.
Perfect. So when you go into Dotloop, I'm going to go right away into templates. This upper right hand corner, guys, it's like 2 pieces of paper. It says templates. This is where you guys are going to live 90% of your time as brokers. All of the paperwork you could almost ever imagine is going to already be in your Dotloops for you to be able to use with your clients. They're all fillable forms for you guys to go through. There's 2 things I want to touch on, because I know some of you guys are out there with buyers right now. Some of you might have sellers that you want to go talk to. So my folders might look a little bit different than yours, because I'm in the West Loop one. So if you're in Lincoln Park or Gold Coast, they might look a little different, but I assure you all the paperwork is there. Nakia and I are actually working with the staff to make them all look exactly the same and be easy to kind of go through. But you'll notice that you're going to have a listing folder and a buyer folder. So since we're talking about listings, I'm going to go into this listing folder real quick, and then you'll see all the documents that are here. What's really cool is on this right-hand side, you're going to see right away what's optional and what's required. Okay, so the required ones we need for every listing. Optional, we still need some of these. It just is there might be a different version. And one of the things I want to go into real quick to talk with you guys about is just how easy it is to go through and go into all of these. I really recommend to look and read all these paperworks, wow, that was not proper English, to go in and read through that listing agreement now. Like, consider that if I have a week between the next time we're meeting, that's one of my homework items. Because what ends up happening is if you have a listing presentation tomorrow at 10 o'clock and you have not read every line of that listing presentation and taken a second to ask Nakia and I or Lewis questions before that presentation, you're going to feel really awkward and uncomfortable if your seller says, hey, what does this mean? And you don't know. So I really encourage you guys to go into this listing agreement 6% or the fillable commission one and really read it again, and then come up with questions to ask Nakia, Lewis, or myself, or Curtis before you even go on that appointment. I think the biggest mistake I see a lot of realtors do is just ask people to sign things without being able to speak to it. And remember, as a licensee, you have a fiduciary duty to your client. And part of that is explaining to them what they're signing, especially if you're asking them. Now, if Robin or Doug is sending them something from Guaranteed Rate Affinity, you don't necessarily need to know to be able to explain that. Robin and Doug know how to explain it, right? That's their job. They're the loan officers. But as the agent, you need to know, not memorized, okay, but you need to know what these spaces are on that listing agreement and what exactly it is you're asking your client to sign. And Nakia, if you have a second, you want to unmute and speak to the importance of filling out the spaces correctly and all together. That would be great as the brokerage manager.
Yes, it's important that you guys review every single line. We shouldn't have blanks. If something's not applicable, you would just type in NA. It's important that you connect with attorneys as well. So if there are some legal questions, because I'm not an attorney, that your favorite real estate attorney, can assist you with that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And actually, Nakia and I are working with Brian Brown with Burnett Title to bring you guys attorney office hours, meaning that an attorney will actually be available during like a Q&A session for you guys to pop in virtually or in person to meet with them and grow those relationships. But you're going to start seeing them more and more in our meetings. It's so important to have the attorney relationship and to really go through some of the most important things, I think, for you guys as you go through here, like Nakia mentioned, every blank, right? And if it's an NA. So for example, you'll see that this says this is for a listing for sale, but also lease. So let's say you have a client that says, well, I want to try to sell it for $350,000, but I would also take a lease potentially. Make sure you fill that out. But if they say under no circumstances, I don't want a lease, put NA in this blank. Don't just leave it as a blank, right? That's so important to make sure that that's filled out. Then there's the commission sections. Again, I really encourage you guys to read this first. Feel free to ask Nakia, Curtis, Lewis, or myself, and of course an attorney if you have any specific questions. But make sure you don't go into that listing agreement not knowing what to sign. Every listing absolutely needs the listing agreement. I'm going to actually check it off so you can see. It's going to absolutely need a listing agreement. This one, 6% is pre-filled. If you're asking for 5 or 7, and just so you guys know, we don't take less than 5, you're going to do the fill and commission and fill it. But everyone needs a listing agreement. You'll see here that the fraudulent wire instructions or fraudulent wire disclosure is required. Every listing is going to need that signed. That is a disclosure letting clients know that wire fraud is very real and that they should not just willy-nilly send money without making sure that it's to the right place. So you're going to need that. As you go down, you'll see that this affiliated business arrangement disclosure, that needs to be filled out. That's disclosing to your client that we own Guaranteed Rate Affinity and Burnett Title, right? We have to disclose if we have 1% ownership or more in another real estate entity. That's that disclosure. Whether they use this or not, right? Whether they use Burnett Title or whether they use Guaranteed Rate or not, we do have to disclose that. The lead-based disclosure, bonus round, since some of you guys just got your license, what year do you always need, what is the cutoff for that lead paint disclosure to make sure that your clients sign it? You guys remember?
1978 would be the cutoff.
Right. So is it 76 or 78?
It's 78.
Yeah.
Anything after
78.
That's right. I always get that confused, but anything previous, right, needs to have that lead paint disclosure filled out. You also need to be giving your consumers a pamphlet that explains to them what lead-based paint is to begin with. That's also included in here for you to be able to send to them in .loop.
Or sorry, just to clarify, it's anything before 1978. I'm sorry. If it's before 1978, it's you have to give them disclosure. Okay.
Yep, correct. The residential real property disclosure. Everybody needs that. to fill out. And the other important thing, you guys, is the reason why we love dotloop is your clients actually have to legally fill out the disclosures themselves. So you're going to give them the permissions in dotloop to click those buttons and to type that all in. You should not, as a realtor, ever fill out a disclosure for your client, because that is them disclosing the information they know, right? So that's the importance of using that. When
Hey, Rachel,
Yes.
this is Rhonda. So why is it listed as optional if it's a mandatory?
because it's just highlighting, sometimes it's not needed. Like if you were listing a rental, you don't need that. Does that make sense? Okay. Bonus round again. When do we use the radon hazard? The
So
radon disclosure, I should say.
it's the same thing, same year.
Radon's not years.
Oh, when it's so if it's 3 stories or higher, or if it's 3, because it goes from the bottom up. So
Hi.
Lower?
What, Anastasia?
Everything below 2 stories, 2 stories and below.
Yep,
Okay.
2 stories and below. So if you have a condo on the 16th floor, you don't need that radon disclosure, right? But that's again why that's going to say optional. So these just kind of go high level for you guys, but go through this listing folder templates in dotloop and really kind of go through these, read them. You're welcome to chat with Nakia or myself or Curtis or Lewis at any time if you guys have questions. Again, we're not real estate attorneys, but we're very familiar with this. And this is the really important part why I wanted to highlight the importance of knowing these documents. If these are all not executed correctly, you cannot put your listing in the MLS, right? You absolutely have to have these things. And that's one of Nakia's jobs, right? She's receiving these documents and reviewing them for compliance and making sure you guys have everything. And if you're missing it, you're going to hear from her because we want to make sure that you guys have everything. Your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed. So really kind of go through here and take a look at that. And then the buyer folder is good for you guys to go into as well to start getting comfortable with what the 7.0 contract is, what a car contract. If you go into Sales Pro, you will notice that we are actually running contract classes with David Hacker and Joyworthy Johnson. So sign up for one of those classes. They're going to go through line by line the contract, right? And how to write that offer and how to explain those blanks to your clients and what it is they're signing. That's the other part of it. So sign up for one of those classes. I believe we have one for sure in January. I haven't looked at February's schedule yet, but those are really important for you guys to go through now when you don't need to use it yet, right? If you don't have a buyer right now, this is actually the perfect time to get familiar with that, because the first time you have a buyer, if you haven't read through that contract, that's going to be really scary. Nakia, Curtis, Lewis, and myself are still here for you. Like I was walking Anastasia through one at 7 o'clock the other night. That's what we're here for. But it's also really important to have at least some understanding of what that is before you run into that situation. Your first couple deals, you're still probably going to text us and call us nonstop on it. And we're prepared for that. We would prefer that, right? Always ask because it's better to ask and get the right answer than do the wrong thing. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second if I can get back over to it. All right, so we're right about 3 minutes to the hour, and I want to take a second and ask if anybody has any questions that I had the chat up, so I was able to get to some of them. But if you guys, and Nakia has been answering a lot as well, which is awesome. But do you guys have any questions for us?
Rachel, I have a question that's not really related to this meeting, but I was wondering if you have time to.
No, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything. This is great. I'm learning a lot, and I'm really proud to be a member of the firm. So thank you, everyone.
Good, Christopher. We're happy to have you. Anastasia, what's your question?
Yes. Do you have like 5 minutes to stay on the line after everyone hangs up?
I am actually probably going to be running into another one, but I can call you right after that. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, you guys, I'm going to stop recording this, and this recording will be available. I'll get that sent out to everyone.